elevated when I get to the penthouse. On top of the mountain, I feel like I'm Moses. In spiritual science, you know I'm devoted. I'm pulling your rank, you got the motive. I just want the money, I don't want the fame. It's you and I verse, so you know my name.
Welcome everyone to Mental Gymnastics. I am your host, Professor Zeus. This show, we take a look at things going on in the world, things to make us expand our minds and have a critical look at different things. Now, in today's episode, I wanted to change it up. Not really much news today, but more so a reaction. So, with this show, it's going to be, obviously I'm reacting to a lot of stuff, but this is going to be like my first episode really just reacting to a YouTube video. So the YouTube video in question, it is from the Officer Tatum YouTube channel. I believe he's a conservative black dude from California. He talks a lot about, different things. But he was just at this panel called, what was it called? Something Ideas. Let me just double check what the name of the... Yeah, the Battle of Ideas. And basically, he's having a discussion with a liberal panel. So keep in mind, everyone on this panel is black, right? But I guess he's the one who's more so leaning towards a conservative mindset or a conservative mentality. Before we even start watching this video, I want to preface by saying I'm neither liberal or conservative. I like to take a critical look at things for what they are and actually take time to understand it, actually take time to digest it. But, in different facets, I might be more liberal when it comes to one thing, more conservative when it comes to one thing. But I feel like us as humans, we do need a balanced mindset in order to, think things critically and not be so biased with our mentality. So without further ado, let's pull up this video. And then lastly, before I pull up the video, if you want to support, head over to youandiverse.co. We still got 720 Degrees of Ascension, paperback, and the ebook. We got tees, we got shorts, we got a lot of things if you want to support. I greatly appreciate it. It's You and I Verse for a reason. So let's pull up this video.
Are a number of things systematically that are set up so that we as Black people have a harder time succeeding economically, and it's embedded and bred into our culture. And so when we talk about fatherlessness, that's a byproduct of a number of different issues. But if we had the economic power that many of our counterparts enjoy in this country, some of the issues that we face, we wouldn't have those.
Officer Tatum, you want to weigh in on this topic?
Yeah, I think that a lot of our issue comes from right here in the mind. And I would say that leads from the lack of education. The reason we vote the way we do is from a lack of education. The reason that we think, and no disrespect to the young lady, that we think that somehow our issues are external is a lack of education and knowledge.
So let me stop right here real quick. I definitely really agree with this because, when you deal with supreme mathematics and the supreme alphabet, it's all about knowledge of self. So, I understand different things happen throughout history that could have made Black people lack in certain areas. But at the end of the day, a lot of the things that are plaguing us, we do have to look in the mirror. That's why Michael Jackson came out with the song Man in the Mirror. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and be the change, be the person, be the change that you want to see. If you don't want to see a dirty society, play your part, throw trash away, recycle. If you don't want people, looting and doing different things like that, then you make sure that you support businesses by supporting them. Purchase products. You don't have to steal or different things like that. So I definitely agree with that. It's definitely a lack of knowledge. And a lack of education that is, hurting a lot of us.
honestly believe that we are the arbiters of our success. If we have problems in the inner city communities, we have to look in the mirror first. We have to look in the mirror first. Because on this panel, I highly doubt that anybody on this panel is affected by systemic issues and the systematic oppression.
That's not true.
I said I highly doubt that none of us are affected. I'm a successful black man. I got an education. I own my own business. I employ black people in my business, and I pay them very well. Why? Because they're qualified.
Yo, so facts. I am also, an educated black man. I do have my own business. I haven't scaled to the point where I'm employing people, but I was still able to accomplish these different things. And personally, I didn't, face any struggles or hurdles in order to get to this point. And I also went to a HBCU, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's keep watching.
They do what it takes. They come, they interview, and I give them opportunities, and that beget other opportunities. So I honestly think that the person in the mirror is the biggest, problem or success factor in the black community.
The other day, I was reflecting on my grandmother, and I was raised by my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. Both my parents were incarcerated on the federal level when I was approximately 5 years old. And I thought about something. My grandmother told me one day, she said, "Do you know that you are the first generation that was born free in this country?" And I said, "What do you mean by that?" She said, "You were born in late 1970s. And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, when I was born one generation from a descendant of a slave. When your mother was born, she was born in Jim Crow. And so I was the first generation that was born fully free in this country." Why am I bringing that up? I'm glad that you asked that question. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because we are not too far removed from the institutional racism as it relates to signs, as it relates to legislation, etc., that keeps people like you, like me, like her, and like you, successful brother, in bondage.
Can I jump in on this real quick?
Brandon, before you do.
And let me say this, even though you were the first generation, look at how much you've been able to accomplish. How much barriers do you have if you've been able to accomplish so much and you're only the first generation?
Well, let me tell you about my barriers.
So
as a felon, as a person with a felony conviction.
Let me just.
I can tell you about my barriers. There are more than 46,000 collateral consequences to one felony conviction in the United States of America.
What did you do to go to jail?
I was involved in criminal enterprising.
There you go. So let me just.
Wow. I mean, look, if you engage in certain activities, it comes with consequences. We all know that. For every cause, there's going to be an effect. If you do something, there's going to be something that results in it. So, yeah, let's keep watching.
Say this. The reason that I say that is because it's the same person in the mirror. The justice system, the white man, systemic racism, none of that had anything to do with the reason why you went to prison.
I didn't get.
I mean, unless there was, a white person holding a gun to, my guy's head over here, and was saying, "Hey, I want you to, be a part of a criminal enterprise," then it was strictly up to him. Like, who are we to say? I mean, look, if you engaged in crime, like, what do you expect, right? And to a certain level, you can't say, "Oh, it was because, the white man did this, so that's why I'm in jail." I mean, you got to be like frank. You have to really think about it. Like, nobody told you to do X, Y, and Z, whatever you did, but you did it, and then there's a consequence.
Prosecuted by a white man. I got prosecuted by a black prosecutor. I got prosecuted by a black. I got sentenced by a black judge. This wasn't about white. This wasn't about black.
Hang on one second.
The system in and of itself. I'm telling you, the reason why you went there and I didn't is because decisions that you made and I didn't make those decisions.
That's valid. We all have choices in life. You can choose to do this. You can choose to do that. The choice is yours.
And the reason why you're successful now are the positive decisions that you made learning from the experience. Those are decisions that you're making are the arbiters of your success. It has nothing to do with these external factors. You were able to get out of prison, have the experience, and now you're able to free other people. In America, you can do that. In other places, I can't attest to that. But America forced that opportunity. There's no system that have stopped you, have it? I think that is damaging now by having diversity and inclusion.
So before he goes on, right? Remember, I said it in a couple videos ago, right, about BlackRock. They're the ones who are enforcing this corporate credit score. Remember, it's diversity, equity, and inclusion, ESG, environmental, social, and corporate governance. These are things that companies like BlackRock, investment companies, are telling other companies that they've bought in and control that we need you to implement certain things so we can fill a quota. Once you do this, we'll actually give you more funding. That's why we have situations like, for every 10 white, just hypothetical, like for every 10 white people we hire, we got to make sure we hire like 3 black people, right? That's the whole diversity, equity, inclusion, affirmative action, whatever, right? Instead of moving off of that, wouldn't it make more sense to actually employ people not just based on their skin color or how they identify themselves, but actually what are the traits and what are the qualities that they can actually bring to the workforce? It doesn't really matter if you're black or white. Can you do the job, and can you do the job well? I don't think that's I don't see anything wrong with that, because I would want to hire the best people who are most qualified for the job, regardless of skin color. And we have Officer Tatum here. He said that, he's an educated black man. He owns his own business and he hires, black people. But he made sure to preface that I'm hiring these black people because they're qualified, not specifically because they're black. And, we've just gotten so intertwined with identity politics that we find it an issue to, hire somebody if they're not black. Like, oh, I'm not gonna hire this person, if they're not black. But then you hire somebody who's black and then they're not qualified to do the job. So who wins, right? Do you win? You're hiring somebody who's just based off of skin color alone, rather than their work ethic. And now your business is gonna fail because you hired someone who's not qualified to do the job, and now your business is not scaling, but it's going backwards. And I'm not saying that I'm against, hiring black people or anything like that. Of course not. I'm saying that we have to actually look for people who are qualified. And there's different people, all sorts of people are qualified for everything. But just don't focus on a certain trait to make it what you use to, qualify somebody.
Inclusion and all that stuff. What it does is it separates us.
What?
It does. It separates us because
you don't want people to know about our culture.
I am an entrepreneur. I hire people for a living. I do not discriminate against individuals who come to my workforce. If I have qualified black people, I'm going to hire qualified black people. What we should be focusing on is having them qualified instead of just giving them a handout because we need to reach numbers.
Facts. Like, we got to make sure that when we're in school and different things like that, that we're actually trying to be the best versions of ourselves, so that there's no reason that we're not, top of our class, that we're not being the first ones hired. Don't just, say, oh, you're a part of this group, I have to automatically help you. Like, do what you got to do to make sure that you are the best option, no matter who you're going up against. Make sure you're the top dog. Make sure you're on top, so we don't have to deal with, all of this stuff. You feel me?
We need young. This is the problem that's happening. I'm gonna shut up, I promise. The problem that's happening is that we're not focused on making sure these young people are successful coming out of school. They're prepared to go to work. They're prepared to interview. We're not prepping them there. We want to go on the back end and say, well, I have 10 white people, I need 3 more black people. I'm just going to hire them because we need to meet a quota. That's not the way to do it, because they come, they're unprepared, and they're not going to be successful. What we need to do is help them on the back end, make sure they're successful and prepared, send them out in the workforce where they are competitive.
Facts. It's all about competing, right? You have to be the best version of yourself. You have to put in the time and the effort in order to make sure you're the most qualified person, man. I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. Because you guys know me. I used to teach on the college level, and I saw what it is. You know, being a young black professor teaching at a HBCU, I saw people put in minimal effort, and just a little push could have taken somebody a long way versus just, I'm going to give them this grade just because, right? You got to really try to push people to be the best versions of themselves, because when they win, you win, we all win.
Therefore, they can compete just like everybody else.
I was raised by a single parent, and I feel that I'm considered one of the people that is successful when we talk about, what success looks like within the Black community. But even still, even being raised, in a single family, being educated, having a successful job, a successful career, I still understand that there are systematic things in this country that are against me. And I don't care how people look at that. I look in the banking. I talked about that earlier. The ability to
for me, I'm saying banking, yes, specifically. So just to give you a real life example, in 2020 during the pandemic, I went to my bank. I have good credit. I've paid back my student loans. I don't have any outstanding debt to income ratio, and I could not get $60,000. And I asked my bank, why was I denied a person who has A1 credit, don't have any student loans? I have 2 or 3 properties. Why am I being denied a $60,000 personal loan? And you know what? They said because you're black?
They didn't give me an answer.
Well, how do you know it's because you're black?
What I'm saying is wait a minute. There are no indicators.
It's because of the color of your skin?
What I'm saying is there are no indicators for why I should have been denied. That's what I'm saying.
Do you know that any white people have been denied with the same qualification?
I don't know, because I didn't.
I mean, technically, that's a valid question. I mean, for every person who's applying for that loan that she's talking about, there's probably going to be other people who try to get the same loan and were also denied. So we really technically don't know why it is that she got denied. We don't know technically.
I didn't go out and poll white people.
There's no way.
This isn't a conversation about white people. This is a conversation about me.
No, but there's no way.
You're acknowledging a hindrance. You're acknowledging a hindrance to
Yes, I'm acknowledging a hindrance in what you're considering to be a successful person, doing what they're supposed to do, going out and working, having good credit, paying their bills on time, and still being denied with no reason given.
As a black person.
As a black person.
That happened to you.
I'm saying that happened to me. What I'm saying is, yes, I'm saying it happened.
Okay.
And I happen to be black, yes.
Alea, I want to talk about
But wait a minute, I'd like Brandon to respond to that. I see you sat back, you're frustrated.
Listen,
I'd like you to respond.
I will.
Yeah.
You got 2 minutes.
2 minutes. All I want to say is that I can fight with you if we have evidence. If you went to the bank and you have evidence that they've been giving loans to people with equal qualification as you have, and because you being black, they denied you, let's go to the bank and let's show up. Let's pull up. Okay. But the thing is that it's not fair to make that determination without unequivocal facts, because what it does is it generates this idea that it's because you're black. There may be something or that you could have changed when you made the application or not that could have caused you to get the loan. There are some educational points there that could have been effective, but you can't just say it's your race, because then you're telling the next young person and the next young black person, and before you know it, they don't even give it a try when you're saying something that's not verified.
No, I'm not saying. I'm gonna let you get your applause. What I'm saying is the same grace that you're asking me to give the bank and saying that maybe it didn't happen because I'm black, I'm asking for that same grace to say that that absolutely could have been a qualifier in their decision to deny me, but they didn't give me that information. And so the same way that I'm making an example that We don't know. So
It could have
just
been
as you're
because you were
saying,
female.
Like
could have been because
Brandon,
of anything.
you don't
It
know.
could have been
I
that-
don't know
it
because
could have
you
been
know
that-
what? They didn't give me the
They
information.
could have been jealous of you. They see you
It
come
could have
in
been
looking
anything.
nice. They be hating on you. It could have been hating. It could have been because you're a
Hates
woman.
do
It could have
not
been
like
because.
pink.
Who
I
knows?
But what I'm
the facts
also
on
just
that.
asking you to consider is that it also could have been my race.
It is a
That's all I'm
possibility that they did, deny her because of her race, though. It is a possibility. But unless there's, evidence, I mean, we don't know. There could have been plenty of factors why they denied her.
asking
I do.
you to consider.
I know,
I'm
I do.
asking you to consider that as well.
I think that that's fair to consider that, and I will. But we cannot make the determination, right? But we'll consider it. In this country, if black people, if we're caring about what our efforts are and our effectiveness in this country is, if we get overtaken by people who shouldn't even be in this country, that didn't fight to belong in this country, didn't die, didn't shed blood, wasn't in the Civil War, wasn't a slave in this country. The law wasn't even prepared for people to come here illegally. It was prepared for black people who belong here. If we get overtaken by them, then what are we going to do?
So I've made videos about this, about, New York Mayor Eric Adams, how he's proposing the $125 residence plan for, letting migrants from the border come live in New York City and move into your home for $125 an hour. There's also a lot of stuff going on in Chicago with this. My whole thing is this. There shouldn't be any reason why the next person shouldn't be able to help the next person. Like if I see somebody in need of help, if I am capable of helping them, I'll do my best to make sure that person is helped, even if it's no gain to me or anything like that, because at the core of it, we're all humans. We all should be able to assist each other. Now, when it comes to immigration, I just feel that there's so many messed up things going on in America right now that, also trying to help, millions of people trying to come into the country, we're just going to mess up our infrastructure like it's not already messed up already. But please hear me well. I am not saying that I don't believe migrants don't have a place in this country or anything like that. I'm just saying, when you fly on an airplane and those masks come down, before you help the person next to you put on their mask, you have to put on your mask and make sure you're secured first before you can help the next person. So that's how I look at this migrant crisis and things like that. We have to help ourselves first and get ourselves out of a lot of situations we're in, and then we should have no issue being able to help the next person.
We're having abortions at a crazy rate. Therefore, we're not populating. We're at 12%. We're probably at 11% of the population. If there are 60% of the population, when we show up to vote, what kind of power you think we're going to have? And they came here illegally. Their ancestors were not here. They didn't go through the struggle. They didn't go through Jim Crow. You got to get in line and do it the right way. And you're not going to thwart opportunities for black people in this country. And if anybody cares about opportunities for black people, and they're saying they're not afforded these opportunities, they're getting taken away from them, this is one of the points that we should all be in unison on, is saying that these illegal people who come in this country that take opportunities from Americans is wrong.
If you own a home in Maryland, Washington, D.C., or Northern Virginia, and
Well, the way that I feel about this country is we're all illegals in this country.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
No.
First of all, I knew it'd be controversial. I knew it was going to be controversial to say that. I do believe that black people built this country for free. I do believe that.
No.
But I also believe that we're all on stolen land. This is not our country. It's not. And so, because
Whose country?
Native Americans.
Who? Which one? Which tribe?
I don't know which tribe.
The one who killed them to get them to kill the other ones to kill the other ones.
Listen,
Which tribe?
it's listen, let me say this. Do I believe that America has an immigration problem? Absolutely. I'll be the first person to say that. I don't believe any president, Democrat, Republican, has gotten it right. I think it's really a real challenge in this country.
Do you believe, Crystal, that our immigration problem is disenfranchising blacks?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't think it is.
All right.
I reject the premise that quote unquote illegal immigrants are taking jobs away from black people. I reject that premise.
Okay, we're gonna go to solutions.
How do we do that? Stop focusing on the past. Stop blaming other people, and let's come together. Let me finish.
The past is a precursor.
Let's start making sure that we hit these pillars as a community. Let's start marrying these young women and staying at
Facts.
home and taking care of your responsibilities as a man. Let's start building wealth together. Instead of going and banking with Chase Bank, somebody go bank with a black bank. For all these people who
Give me the black bank to bank with.
Mind you, this guy who's talking, he's a conservative. So people would think that because he's conservative, he's not actually looking out for quote unquote his people, black people. Well, listen to everything he's saying.
That's how we can't come together and start pursuing black excellence. Instead of supporting illegal immigration, let's support our people right here in New York. Instead of putting these people up in a hotel, paying for them to eat, giving them access, giving them food.
All right. So yeah, that video was definitely, interesting. I feel like, we've just become so divided as a people. Humans, that is. We've been divided as people. We've been so focused on identity politics versus people's morals, values, ethics, and their character that we've kind of put ourselves in different categories. So we're using so many different categories to categorize us and compartmentalize us when we're all technically humans and we're supposed to be working together, right? But, I thought that video was very interesting. There's a lot of points being made, but why don't you guys leave me some comments on what you think? How do you feel about that video? Did you think, the guy who was speaking was out of line? Did you feel the young lady who was speaking about her situation, or the guy who was speaking about his prison situation? Choices, free will, you being the person in the mirror, being the change that you want to be. Is this stuff that we should strive for? You guys let me know. And as always, please hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps the YouTube algorithm. Head over to youandiverse.co if you want to support. I greatly appreciate it. And always keep in mind, it's you and I verse for a reason. I teach you, you teach me. We take what we both taught each other and apply to what's going on. And that's the only way that life is going to progress. I'm your host, Professor Zeus. This is Mental Gymnastics. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Elevated when I get to the penthouse. On top and on my own, I feel like I'm Moses. In spiritual science, I'm devoted. I'm pulling your rank, you got the motive. I just want the money, I don't want the fame. It's you and I verse.